Hey guys, unsanctioned retard here, remaking this video because I'm too stupid to do it right the first time. So, I screwed up with the audio, and the video didn't have audio last time. So, but this did let me play with the build a little bit more. This is Visit Plays. Oh, this is already not a good situation. Hold on. Thank you, stamina. Anyway, it let me refine my criticisms of the build a bit more and play with it a bit more. And I've come to the conclusion that the build's really good and fun and is very surprisingly powerful in group play. But really, that didn't hit. In solo play, it runs into a lot of problems. If you have to clutch for an extended period of time, you're going to really struggle with this build. But if you don't have to do that, then it's actually a shit ton of fun. Like, if you're playing... This is probably gonna become one of your favorite psyker builds if you play it with, like, somewhat organized people. Why didn't that make him drop his guard? The assail shard hit him, and it's supposed to... Whatever. But, big area this build struggles is if it has to fight a boss, you just run out of resources. I also am really not fond of his melee choice and some of his skill tree choices. But I'll get into that when I talk about the skill tree. Also, maintaining destiny stacks is really shockingly easy like this. We don't want to get trapped in that back corner. We want to take the stuff back here so we can keep moving. Fight in this choke point as long as we can. This is another area this build really struggles. Awkward ranges versus clumps of little trash gunners like this. Because we're not really close enough that we can comfortably just run into melee. And we're not far enough that we can really justify spending bullets on it. But we also don't want to spend bullets on this stuff if we can help it. So this is again an example of where this build struggles. What do you do here? It's an awkward range versus an awkward enemy type. We can't really deal with it cleanly with assail shards. And we don't want to spend our very limited ammo on it. So we just kind of have to, like, brute force it. Either by spending a lot of assail to do something not that powerful, you know, like kill one gunner, or we have to waste some of our very precious ammunition. But I've made it out of the first room now. And, God, stuff like that will never not be satisfying. So I think I'm going to end... We've also hit our 3 minutes. So we hit the first 3 minutes and made it out of, like, the first room area. Because we already dealt with the spawns, like the special wave, and just about every elite that was ambiently on the map. So we just run into the next room. I'm going to put a timestamp to skip all the loading. But, yeah, let me talk about the build more now. Because it's a good one, but definitely, like, upper B tier, maybe low A tier. It's not going to compete with, like, Soulfire, Trauma Staff, or Gun Psyker, or anything like that. It's just not, but that's more to do with Scryer's gaze and not using what is, like, the worst gun in the game, the revolver. But he does make a good point. Assail really does cover the revolver's weakness. If you use a good boss damage weapon, like, you know, Stabby Sword, and you focus on using Assail for horde clear and shoving the right-click shards up gunners' asses, you can actually hold on to the ammo for quite a while and just save this as, like a crusher or a boss dump weapon. It's not bad, but it's not good either. It's more that this revolver just kind of needs some help in general. If this revolver got buffed like it really needs to be, then this whole build becomes a lot better. But here's the talent tree for it, and I make a few changes that he does. I don't really like Purloin Providence, by the way, in non-Scryer's Gaze builds, because with Scryer's Gaze, Providence becomes like A tier, maybe even S tier keystone node, but without it, it's just kind of not that great, because you aren't using this node to quail. Also, I'm just saying this as like an in general if you're wondering why this isn't being taken. Quelling peril like this isn't super duper valuable if you're not constantly spending it and need to spend more time in here. Dumping like 20% of your peril here, like 2, God forbid 3 times, is really strong because it'll double the duration of Scryer's Gaze. Which, you know, that's just 10 seconds more with 20% crit chance and extra damage on top of the stack bonus. But whatever, that doesn't really apply here. So he doesn't take Warp Expenditure or Quietude, which I think is a big mistake in a build like this, especially when you have to fight gunners. Because it's... Let me show you how easy it is to work Quietude. You just throw a few Assail Shards, and boom, 50% toughness back right there. So you, every 20 seconds, have a give me 50% toughness back button with Quietude. And I just feel like that's too universally strong to give up. Using Perilous Combustion with Creeping Flames to hold on to your ammo and assail usage is really good, by the way. Doing something like this on Horde is not bad. And then you kill, like, one elite in the Horde, and that gives you the final Soul Blaze needed to really, like, you know, start schmooving on their health bars. But he uses the Rashad Axe, which I really just don't like, if I'm being frank with you. I much prefer something like this. Carapace damage, crit damage, and then something like... Or no, yeah. Anything unyielding or Carapace with as much crit as you can get. That way you're just... Because a big problem you run into really is bosses. Like, if you have to solo a full health Plague Ogre with this build... You're either going to spend forever using the Rashad Axe like he was without anything to help for bosses, or you're going to have to dump a shit ton of ammo and then the rest of the clutch is in a much harder position. But the build is pretty mobile because you don't have to worry about aiming or using any slow weapons. The Assail is really good to kite back hordes with, but that's just Assail being strong in general. Overall, I would give the build... an A tier rating overall. Oh, and let me show you what I'm talking about with bosses. Just so you know I'm not bullshitting you here. This is a Plague Ogre. So you have this as a means to deal with it, but come on, look at how much ammo this takes. Like, you can already see, this is going to take, like, half my goddamn ammo. If not, actually more. This is going to take more than half my ammo to go through. So, I much prefer something like this. So, with Shred and Riposte, you get up to 40% crit chance from this. Then this is another. This gets you to, like, 45. The weapon is, like, 10% base. Psyker is base 5. So, this is giving you, like, 6%-ish crit chance. Critting with unyielding damage every time against the Plague Ogre does like 1300 damage. So, because you got to understand, when you're in content, you'll crit every hit here. And it honestly just kind of competes with this, but without the cost of spending your ammo. Some other good alternatives for this would be the knife, the Rashad Axe like he was using. And the weapon, you could change the weapon to use like... You could probably make a las pistol work like this, but, you know. Like, I could see the heavy las pistol working. I could see the old revolver working. Hell, I could see pretty much any actual gun working with this. But definitely a build you should give a try out. You should try out.